How many of you have read the Chronicles of Narnia books? Have seen the movies? All right. Well, many of you probably know this, but not so many know that C.S. Lewis, the author of the Chronicles of Narnia, wrote the books as a parallel to the gospel and how Christ died for us and how he loves us. These are basically my favorite book series. Harry Potter comes in a close second, but Chronicles of Narnia is my first because it is such a direct relationship to the Bible, and I can, even though it's not directly the same, I can still feel Christ's love for me as the characters grow. So 3 of the particular stories, The Magician's Nephew is the first one, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the second one, and then The Last Battle, which is the last one. They all represent significant events in the Bible. The Magician's Nephew represents the creation in Genesis. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe represents Christ coming in the Gospels. And then the second coming of Christ is represented in the Last Battle. So for the Magician's Nephew, there are plenty of events that are directly correlated to Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and the whole creation. Aslan is the lion that is probably the most famous character. He creates Narnia in the first book. He actually sings a song, and this kind of relates to God creating the heavens and the earth by simply speaking it into being. Aslan doesn't actually create it. He just has this simple, he uses his voice and it's spoken into being. Also, there's unfortunately the witch, who is also in Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but she enters the world at the same time that it is being created, and she immediately has the desire to rule over it and believes that she has just as much of a right to rule as Aslan does. And she eventually tries to tempt the main character, Diggory, into using the apple that he must get for his own selfish purposes. Unfortunately for her, Diggory is, he still follows Aslan through and through, but he still brings the witch into the world, which was his doing. So just like in the creation, we have Satan who tempts Adam and Eve, the caretakers of the world, into biting the apple, and unfortunately because that sin enters the world, it's not the same. It's going to be imperfect. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is the most famous of all the Narnia series. It has Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. They represent the sons and daughters of Adam and Eve, which are us, people who are sons of God and daughters. And this is where Aslan returns to Narnia after a long while. The witch has been ruling over the nation in a very harmful way, and so Aslan has come to reclaim it, but unfortunately he must die to save those whom he loves. But as we all know, he comes back to life just as Christ does in the Gospels. He dies to save us for our sins that we've done, despite the fact that we really don't deserve it. And he eventually conquers the witch, which is just like Jesus conquering death and conquering sin so that we no longer have those burdens. The Last Battle is the very last book. Basically, there is a monkey and a donkey, and they act as the devil and the Antichrist, and they believe that they have the ability to rule over the people because the creatures believe that they are Aslan, they disguise themselves, that they are Aslan coming to redeem the world again. Unfortunately, this is not the case, and many people are deceived. And this is just how Revelation predicts that will happen towards the end of the world. There will be an Antichrist, and it's very theological. So eventually Aslan really comes and redeems them, but this time he brings out those who are still holy and leads them to his country, which is the new earth or heaven, or the new land. The old Narnia is defeated. So basically, it is just one of the most powerful stories that they aren't the greatest pieces of literature, but C.S. Lewis wrote them so that those of a younger audience might still know the gospel in its way. And in The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, Aslan actually says, I have another name. You must learn to know me by that name. It was this very reason why you were brought to Narnia, that by knowing me a little, you may know me better there. And so that it's the most direct connection that C.S. Lewis makes, making it very clear that this is a parallel to what is actually true.